Hi Capricorn, this is Amanda Nardozzi. Thanks for hopping into my little ferret den here. We keep it warm here, we keep it cozy. Today I have a new moon in Pisces reading for you here. That's in March 10th, 2024. So specifically, I look at the cycle of the 2 weeks that this new moon is in. So the energy is going to be the most prominent around the new moon. So around March 10th, give or take like a day or two before, a day or two after, that's when the energy is going to be the most potent. And then allow yourself to work through this energy for the next 2 weeks. So this is technically like a 2-week cycle reading, like an overview of the energy that you work through during that time. I'm going to do a Celtic cross so I can look at your situation first, and then we're going to pull some oracle cards, roll some dice, and then I'll send you on your way. So connect with your angel guides, your spirit team, call in whoever you work with, so that way you can tune into the messages that work for you and that apply to your life, and that way you can tune out the rest and leave that type of energy for the rest, because this is a general reading. So thank you, angels. I'll call in my guides. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for casting your light of protection around me, and thank you, spirit guides, angel team, and all the other archangels for helping me connect with the highest love for our Capricorn audience. Thank you for allowing me to connect and channel the highest love, the highest healing for our lovely Capricorns. And we'll see what we got going on. Wow. Okay. All right, Capricorn. So I roll the Astro Dice because that tells me exactly what scenario we're dealing with here. It's going to help me tune into the specific facet of your life that this energy is strong in. We got the Sun, Aries, and the first house. And when I tell you that this is like, you got the first planet, you got the first sign, and you got the first house. So I'm actually getting chills as I say this, but whatever this is, I mean, you're just in a full, fresh, like brand spanking new, I don't know, Capricorn. There's like this whole new creation, new direction, new sense of self. Like there's something new, like you are reinventing yourself. This is like a whole, it's like the start of something beautiful. Like the sun is about creation. The sun is about our sense of self. The fact that it's reflected in your first house is talking about, the first house is like the self, the body. So that's double the message there, with Aries being super passionate, super in the zone. I'm actually hearing the word high strung. So you may have been someone who was high strung in the past, or maybe just a little bit intense and stressed. And then all of a sudden there's something new, like that you're being called to do, or that is something new that you're being called to perform. You are shown to, you were like expected. I don't even want to say expected, because I don't want to say you should, but it's almost like spirit is like applauding you because you are stepping into, like, this is the time of your life where you're stepping into something new, and it is this glorious new beginning. It's like a reinvention of this self. Okay, the situation here is the Hermit. So you might have been felt called to draw into yourself, to hone in on, like, it's just like a self journey. Some of you went through a dark night of the soul or a spiritual awakening. Some of you really had to find yourself. I just heard I had to lose myself before I found myself. And that's a situation I see a lot of you dealing with. So whatever the case may be, around this time, you've had to withdraw and retreat to find this new creation, this new sense of self, to reinvent yourself and start this new, passionate, like, reinvigorating way of life. The challenge here, the Celtic cross, by the way, is going to tell me what's going on. The Three of Pentacles across your challenge. So The Three of Pentacles, it's almost like, especially when it's crossed over the Hermit card, that tells me that maybe asking for help. Three of Cards, or the Three of Pentacles, is a collaboration card. And it tells me that you might have had challenges in the past of asking for help. Even currently, you might struggle to learn from others, or maybe you're like hyper independent. It's like a hyper independent energy here, but you've been alone, you've been withdrawn for so long. And it's almost like the challenge here is that you are at a point in your life where you either need to ask help or you need to learn from somebody else. So that seems to be a challenge, and it's almost like Spirit's like, you can't escape it. You gotta, like, this is something you have to learn to, like, build a community and rely on them. And for some of you, this isn't just building a community. This is quite literally just asking for help from somebody else. So learning to lean on somebody else or learning from somebody else. You've taken so many measures to live life by your own standards and live on your own, which served you in its way. But now it's time to reintegrate back into society. Time to reintegrate back into, and I know, I feel some of your energy goes, but that's not my jam. This would have been a specific thing that happened, or some of you might not have actually seen it, and Spirit's trying to call it to your attention, that maybe you have encountered a problem recently that would have been so much easier for you if you had just asked for help. And immediately, if this message is for you, what situation I'm talking about, and who you could have asked. Like, there's this feeling of, they're like, you're like someone going, oh, that's me. Like, there's a situation, like, let's say you were out late one night and then you struggled to find a ride home if you, like, don't have a car, your car broke down or something, I don't know. But it's the situation, like, of thinking like, oh, it's this one-off thing, like the ride shares are way too expensive, or they're just not coming, and it's too late, and public transportation doesn't come for me until several hours from now, and I see you not ask for help, or maybe you asked for help at the very last second and you got it, but it would have been beneficial to ask earlier at the time that the matter happened, and you could have asked and been like, hey, can I, and it would have been like, yes, I'll come help you. And I do feel like if this energy is for you, you have that support system of people who are willing to help you. It's just, you might not feel like you have that. Like, people who are willing to put the effort in to help. It's just there's this feeling of, I don't want to bother somebody. I don't want to burden them. I don't want to owe them. There's this hyper independence going on. Or because you've withdrawn and been alone for so long, it's like, well, I feel like I don't have a right to reach out to people because I haven't been keeping up, or I haven't really been, I haven't really been in touch. I just heard, like, a quick phone call can change everything. I just heard. So, like, reaching out to those people, and, like, it's so easy to rebuild your community sometimes. I know sometimes it's challenging, but Spirit's saying in particular for this crowd, Capricorn, for this energy right now, a quick phone call means the world to someone in your life. So make that phone call and rebuild your connection to other people, and try not to keep putting it off. Because it's actually a lot easier for you to rebuild this connection than you think. So, that being said, what's coming up from within is the Queen of Swords. So, the Queen of Swords, they're highly intellectual, very aware of their thoughts and their beliefs. And it's almost like what's coming up from within feels like concerns. Concerns about what, Spirit? Okay, so I'm seeing some, like, measures being taken towards self-growth. I see some concerns about things that you don't really like in your life. It's like things for the self, but also things in your life. It's almost like you're taking note of the concerns. And it's almost like, and it's interesting because it's coming through with, like, intuition as well. It's almost like I'm trying to view it less harshly than I did before, because in contrast, in your recent past, you have the King of Swords, and this is, like, tricky energy because it's like an energetic shift. So in the past, it's almost like, and this is how I feel like you've grown in some way. It's not like King of Swords, Queen of Swords. It's not like one is better than the other, but it's the way that the channel is coming through. It feels like an energetic shift of your perceptions of things. And it's almost like you, I don't know, in the past it's almost like you took things out of context, and it's like now what's coming up for within is you're realizing some of those things that you've taken out of context, or you're realizing that you might have viewed things a little too pragmatically, or you might have logicked your way through something so hardcore that you weren't really focused on your intuition. Because the main difference between the queen and the king is that the king is very, very pragmatic, whereas the queen has this pragmatic, but it also has more of like the divine feminine traits of being receptive and leaning on intuition. But they both make cutting decisions. They both have the same power to wield the sword. They both wield the thoughts of the mind. I mean, you're very good at giving instructions. They're specifically telling me something about instructions, so you're very good with instructions. But it's almost like with the Queen of Swords, you're focusing more on your intuition. And it's almost like, do I need to give this information to this person at this time? It's almost like you have a little bit more of a discernment that's coming up, and you're using that discernment to recognize who you can lean on, who you can't lean on, and also reflecting on different, I don't want to say like I want to say flaws in your character, so that you can work to better yourself, because I do feel a hint of self-growth here. It's almost like you've been too rigid in the past, and then now what's coming up from within is wanting to lean on your intuition more and use a little bit more of your discernment to make those concessions and say, you know what, maybe I've been a little bit too structured. Maybe I've been putting up too many boundaries for myself and not allowing myself wiggle room to rely on others for help. Maybe I've just been putting up too many boundaries in general, not just in terms of reaching out to other people, but in terms of starting this new passionate beginning. It feels like you're trying to unbox yourself so that you have more room to create and to be yourself. It's like you're trying to, it's almost like you're giving yourself permission here. So this is the cycle, like new moon, like literally spirit says, yes, that's it. Like you've finally given yourself permission in this cycle. So that's what I see for you coming up here, Capricorn. Your focus is the star. The focus is, so the star is a card about, giving your gift to the world, specifically I don't know why generational wealth is coming to mind, but you could be using your gifts to try to create something along the lines of generational wealth because of all these stars that are twinkling in the sky, because she is giving to herself by pouring into her own lake, but she's also pouring out to the land and making sure that other people can also enjoy the fruits of her labor and experience that happiness that she's giving herself. So I feel like this is your way of exchange in the world. This is your way of service. This is how you are giving your gift to the world. And you are also, for some of you, you're making bank on it. You're making income on it. But it's an idea that you are investing in that is down the line creating generational wealth. And this doesn't necessarily have to be in terms of money too. This could be recognizing how you as a person come into yourself, how you shine, and then in turn teaching other people how to do the same. So that being said, generational wealth, again, is far beyond financial wealth. It can be financial wealth, but I feel like this is also just causing that ripple effect of recognizing the power of yourself, recognizing like the zest and the passion, and then like this new adventure that you're about to embark on with your reinvented self. It's like I see you coming out of your cocoon and entering a butterfly stage. So after this transformation, it's almost like you can spread your wings and fly, and other people see that and feel inspired by you too. So that is creating some type of generational wealth. If you have kids, or like if you're like a teacher, or if you're around kids or something, like you're inspiring the next generation in some way. You also have the Four of Cups in your near future. The Four of Cups is about being a little too picky and choosy, but I feel like in some cases you can afford to be. It's almost like you're developing that confidence, and again, we're talking about discernment. Discernment comes into the play with the Four of Cups. Sometimes the Four of Cups talks about sitting in our options for too long and just not picking because nothing's quite right or nothing's quite perfect, but I feel like with this Queen of Swords coming up from within, the Four of Cups to me, it almost feels more of like a positive, where it's like you're having the discernment to recognize what is not for you. So you're not pouring your energy into things that don't feel good to you, because you're recognizing the energetic exchange that you want to experience in this world with that star, if that makes sense. So it's almost like you're saying no to opportunities that you would have said yes to in the past, and that's stopping certain cycles from repeating and stopping you from living like certain cycles on repeat and experiencing the same things again and again. So you're breaking cycles there. Again, there is something about like a generational wealth you're creating by breaking like a generational, for some of you it's trauma, for some of you it's just saying, like for some of you it's saying yes when you mean to say no. It's breaking that habit in particular. And that's something that again was seen through the generations for some of you. So being choosy, but like the good part of being choosy, having the confidence to know that there are other options waiting for you. So that being said, the Ace of Cups is you. So finding fulfillment in your next chapter, finding fulfillment in this stage. Ace of Cups is having enough to fill up your cup and then overflow, exhibiting overflow, having enough to spread to the collective around you. In your environment, you have the Knight of Wands, literally spewing passion from all different directions. Like Knight of Wands is with the Knight of Swords, one of the fastest knights in the tarot. I always say the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups are a little slow. Not that that's bad per se, but the Knight of Wands, like they're more, the Knight of Pentacles and Cups are actually more methodical, I should say. All of the knights are explorers. All of them are on missions. And the Knight of Wands has a mission to, like the wands are creative. The wands are powerful. They're very will directed. And they're off exploring for that new spark of passion. And for some of you, you know what this is. For some of you, you're still discovering it, but it's almost like you know the direction. I just heard Spirit say, lead the way. You know where you want to go. This is in your environment, so it's almost like you're surrounding yourself with the things. I literally see you, some of you actually moving. Some of you are actually going to a different place. Some of you are putting yourself in different experiences that highlight your passions. So I'm feeling like workshops, or like if you have like recently acquired like a new hobby or skill or developed a new interest in something, I see you putting yourself in online courses or going out and like starting up a club or like joining a club or something. Like I see you actively putting yourself in spaces, given that's an environment card, I see you putting yourself in spaces that ignite this passion. And if you haven't been thinking about that, definitely do that if there's a specific interest in mind. Not only does this help create that community for you that you might be struggling to build or reconnect with, but this can also just up your confidence in general towards whatever it is you're passionate about, and having other people around to help with that passion helps make you even more passionate, and it helps you create something substantial that you could be proud of, that you can invest in more, like you can fall in love with your creations. I find that the more effort that I put into my creations, the more I view it as my baby, the more I want to take care of it, the more that I rework things and turn it over, and I just feel good about it in general. So, yes. We also have the Emperor. The Emperor is in our hopes and our fears. The Emperor has been showing up for our Earth signs. And the Emperor talks about issues of authority and control. Not just issues, but the empowerment of our own authority and control. What is within our control and what is outside of our control. And I feel like for some of you, when you went into hermit mode, you have learned to discern what is within your control and what is outside of your control, Capricorn. So this being said, this is where you are getting better boundaries. And again, you're saying no to things that you've been saying yes to in the past because you're understanding, I can't work my ass off to change this perception of this person, or I can't take on this extra project and expect this result to follow because I feel depleted and it doesn't help me, and you're recognizing that energetic exchange does not work for you. And it's almost like you're wanting to run your own kingdom now. I just hear Spirit saying something about being mindful of your own corner of the world and tending to that and making sure that's good to go before you work in somebody else's garden. So apply that analogy or apply that parallel however you see fit, but that's what I'm seeing for the Emperor. And the fact that that's in your hopes and your fears indicates that this is something that you hope that you're doing well, that you hope that you're it's almost like you want to be seated at your throne and you want to feel powerful in it. But because this is like a new, fresh thing, again, with that Sun, Aries, and like the first house, I've never seen that. That's like, that's huge, that's heavy, and the fact that it starts with the Hermit just indicates, again, this transformation stage where, like, you're bursting onto the scene. Like, this is just straight fire energy dictated, like, through the self. And I'm here for it. I freaking love it. I love you. Like, dang, this energy is awesome. But with the Emperor, again, it's really just hoping and feeling empowered in yourself. Now, the reason why hopes and fears share the same spot in the tarot is because the things that we hope for or long for the most are the things that we fear we're never going to get, or fear we're going to lose, or fear that there's going to be obstacles in some way in trying to achieve or get that hope. So with the Emperor, there could also be a fear of, like, not being in control, or kind of like that imposter syndrome of feeling like, I feel like I have the confidence, but I also feel like I'm not fully having that confidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, wanting to be good at something and feeling like you're good at something, but also feeling like, you know, I feel like I just tricked you. Like, imposter syndrome is where we're really good at something, or we've come very far at something, but we feel like we didn't earn it or we didn't deserve it in some way. And that's how we feel like an imposter, like we don't belong in the scene. And there's a hope that, like, I'm feeling this chameleon spirit from a different deck coming through, where the chameleon spirit says act as if, which is the energy of this card, that like intuitively the channeling, that's what the Emperor is telling me right now, is that you want to act as if and have that confidence. That confidence is key. And keeping that confidence, even faking it till you make it, you're going to feel like an imposter sometimes, and that's okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's your reality. Like, being an imposter is not your reality. But understand that those thoughts will come up. The outcome is strength, so making sure that you are cultivating that inner strength through understanding that this imposter syndrome is going to pop up from time to time, that this little corner of the world, people will make you question it. They'll be like, why aren't you concerned with making me happy? Why aren't you concerned with tending to other people's gardens? Because honestly, there's a lot of people out in the world that have it out for themselves. They're like, or I don't know if I phrased that correctly, but a lot of people are only looking out for themselves. So a lot of people might turn the criticisms to you for saying, why are you being selfish? Why are you taking care of yourself so much? What the heck? And you've already learned this, Capricorn, that you need to take care of yourself first before you overflow, or before you flow into other people's gardens. You need to, that giving to other people comes from the overflow. And you've recognized this, you learned that. And I feel like that backlash, or that, like, whatever coming up from, like, whatever doubt is coming up from within, whatever doubt is coming from the outside, that's going to be harnessing your inner strength. That's actually going to help build your confidence. Honestly, I find the only way to build your confidence is to keep doing that thing, to keep trying new things, and to keep pushing on that. Because the more you work through your fears and your doubts, honestly, I think that's the most courageous thing and the bravest thing you can do. Having courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing things despite that fear being present. So I do feel that fear gets more manageable with time. I don't think it ever really goes away, but it becomes more manageable. It dulls down a little bit. We get more bold with our actions. And I feel like that's something that you're cultivating now, is your confidence and your sense of self. That being said, let me pull some oracle cards and see what else we got going for you. Some things to keep in mind with this deck, some extra things, some blessings, just some extra messages we got for our Capricorn. Thanks. Yin. And I love this color scheme. I love that you got 2 and 4. You got some 4s, you got some 8s, you just got some even numbers. personally, I think even numbers is a great vibration. I think odds sometimes are a little challenging, which is good. It's more like up leveling. I feel like for this one, when I see a lot of evens in a reading, when I see a lot of even numbers, I feel like there are more signs and synchronicities present in your life because you're entering like a very yang time, a very powerful time, which is interesting when I say yang because you got the yin card, but you're entering a very action-oriented time where you're moving forward with these changes and you are seeing signs and synchronicities along the way that help you feel like spirit is present. Okay, so along with this passionate movement, you have yin. So yin is not sitting and doing nothing. Okay, yin is the act of making space to receive. Specifically, when the higher power card pops up too, this pairing tells me sitting with yourself either in meditation or sitting in silence and just allowing yourself to receive whatever the divine has to share with you. Now, I shared this with some of the fire signs, but they're like, especially because these cards are heavy in purple. Purple is the sign of the crown chakra in the 7 chakra system. And that is our connection to our higher power. That's where you can perceive signs with your third eye. You can perceive signs in the physical, but your feeling of connection with the higher power and basically the stuff you let in, like higher vibrations, lower vibrations, whatever, it all comes through the crown chakra. And the crown chakra, we want to focus on like, the higher vibrations, the loving vibrations, and spirit wants you to connect more with your team. Specifically, some of you, Archangel Raphael. Archangel Raphael is coming to mind very strongly for some of you. That's going to be healing the body. And it's interesting because that is the first house. So spirit wants you to focus on healing the body and focused on whatever this, for some of you, you might have just joined a gym or you might be like going to get regular massages or taking care of the body in some way or paying more attention to your health because the first house is ruled, like the health is ruled in the first house. So the health sits in the first house and it's just like the physical body, not only our physical body, but our sense of self. So any type of exercise, I always categorize as the first house. That's just the symbol that spirit uses through me with this because I see it more of a physical body. The first house is also our sense of self and how we present ourselves to the world, how we show up, how we feel about ourselves. And I feel like there's a confidence that comes from taking care of the body. We generally feel better. We look better. We operate in life a lot better. And there's just something about taking care of the body when you're doing these self-care practices. It is the act of receiving. So making that space, releasing your walls and trying not to target a specific question to the divine just because I found that my guides don't really like when I target specific questions to them. Like it's funny. Quick tangent. I do have these, like when I encounter or like when I go through something incredibly challenging, I do have a guide that comes to me and they'll give me like this little sign. Like last time it was a pendulum and they'll say, ask me anything. And that's when I can ask targeted questions. And you better believe I'm on it because I know I'm going to get like answers that resonate with me strongly and I'm like, yeah. But they don't really answer me like specific things like that in meditation. But that's usually like a very sacred space and I'm like, this is a special time, I earned it. Like, but anyway, in this one in particular, I feel like for you it's just making the space to allow that and like not asking targeted questions, but allowing that information, whatever spirit has to share with you, because I see your focus on one particular question or two particular questions, but spirit wants to come in from the side and share something else. There is other information that you need right now to help you gain more confidence in your new direction. But they're going to be coming from the side. It's going to be from, like, if you try to focus that energy, if you try to approach with a focused question, then spirit can't get through with what they need to tell you. So try to open up your mind and try to release expectations as to what the answers might be, as to what you might see or experience or feel in your body. For some of you, if you don't directly sense things either through clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, yada yada, whatever, sometimes I just meditate before sleep. If I'm really feeling off my game, I'll meditate before sleep. I go to sleep. I might have like a conducted tarot reading for myself that tells me one particular thing, but then when I wake up, I'm on a whole different vibration. Like I get the answers in my sleep and it's integrated in me. So by the time I wake up, I'm like, oh dang, that's not what my tarot reading said yesterday. That's not the energy that I was vibing on. Because I was in it. I was in the thick of it. That's why sometimes they say it's hard to read for yourself, right? So Capricorn, what I would say is to meditate and then take a nap and see how you feel. Take a nap or like wait till the next day. See what vibration you're on. See where you're trying to see what direction spirit's leading you to. Because even if you went to a psychic and you're hearing things from a psychic, you're always going to be told what you need to hear. So even if you come to this channel, you're always going to be told what you need to hear. Is it always the right thing? Not necessarily, but sometimes I told people readings that they're like, that absolutely does not resonate with me. And then they wanted to fight back. And then they did the opposite to prove me wrong. But that opposite ended up being what they needed to do because they learned so much about themselves from doing that. And I was like, that's so weird. And I've seen other channelers and other psychics. I've heard them tell me these stories about the same thing where it's like, how could my reading have been wrong? But then when they talk it out with their clients and they're like, but then it led to this, which led to this, which led to this. And it's because they couldn't see past this particular thing and they needed to learn to have an open mind with this or something along those lines. It's always very specific to a person as to why stuff like that happens, but it's always, I don't know, divine works in such mysterious ways. It's awesome. You also have courage and bravery here. So allowing yourself to receive that, and also, again, lion heart. You have so much fire, guys. You have strength with the lion, and the fact that you have courage and bravery, and lions are typically that symbol of courage, bravery, Gryffindor, anyone? But with all of this fire energy with the sun and Aries and with the lion, like, it's going to take courage. It's gonna take some gusto, and again, it's working through those self-doubts that keeps coming up, that imposter syndrome, working through that fear. Like, this is something that you're learning. This is something that you are cultivating. This is something that you are meant to, like, you can. Interesting. So the last reading that I did had a similar message. Like, you can't escape this. This is something you have to learn. So if you try to avoid it now, it's just gonna pop up later. But I feel like you're ready. I just heard like it's now or never. Like, this is the time to kind of like face your demons in this sense and just putting yourself out there more, having the courage to do those things. Okay, having the courage to reinvent yourself and bring this new self out to the world and acting as if, building your confidence. And again, what I just said about fear being present, and just doing shit anyway, and building courage that way, and how fear is easier to handle whenever you keep pushing past it, because you start to recognize it's just a normal thing in life. The most successful people, it's not like fear is absent from them. It's not like they evade fear and like they're just good at doing the dance of avoiding fear. That's not it at all. They've faced it by working through it and allowing it to be present in whatever it is that they do. And then they get to the point of being successful and they go, you know what, my fears weren't so bad after all. That being said, the next step, or when I pull from the Enchanted map, that's kind of like the next steps to take here, where your energy is being targeted next. Magical shapeshifter. I like this because it's almost like you were on one trajectory and all of a sudden you changed it, which is amazing. Because we are always in control of our fates. Some things, of course, are out of our control, but we are manifestors of our own destiny. It is what I just heard. It's whatever you choose. Wherever you choose to go from here, you lead the way. I will follow, is what Spirit is saying. So basically, it's like when you were whatever vibration you were on before, you had a map. Whatever you like before you reinvented yourself, you had a map. You had a certain, like, you might have had different energy lines of different things that could have happened. But I just heard times have changed and you have become someone new. So now we're going to make a map that channels the better you, the you that you've become. You've worked so hard to achieve this. So now it's time to step into that new person. And we will give you new signs We will give you new locations. We're going to breathe new life into you. They're saying something about new locations, so something about traveling is coming to mind. Maybe if you're looking to move or you're looking to just travel the world, this is kind of what they're saying here. But Spirit's like, you are on a different path now. So allow this energy to encompass you and embrace this journey. So that's weird because like they were talking like directly through me there for a second. I was like, let me not get lost in this channel. I was a little spooky. Okay. But that being said, I'm going to roll the dice for you. And then we'll move on. So, I'm going to roll the dice for you and then I'll let you be on your way. So 323, I'm pulling from Angel Numbers by Kyle Gray. I always read these messages twice. Ascended Masters are with you to remove all blockages and challenges on your pathway so that you can live fearlessly. Out of the 999 messages, Spirit's at the point. They're like, I said what I said and I meant it. We'll say it again. Ascended Masters are with you to remove all blockages and challenges on your pathway so that you can live fearlessly. Okay. Okay. All right. That's so cool. Okay. Courage. Dang. Okay. This is giving such vibes of like, you know, when you watch like the fantasy movies and you read the literature about the main character and it's usually a fire wielder or something and they're like, they got the energy of the fire, they got the spunk and they face their fears and they overcome their challenges with lots of bold energy and stuff. Like that's the type of vibe that I'm getting is like learning to be main character, like getting that cliche main character energy, like, but you're like becoming your own cool kick-ass character. I love it. Okay, that being said, Capricorn, that's the end of your reading. Thank you for tuning in. If this resonated with you in any way, go ahead, like and subscribe and all the things. That way you can keep up to date with what I'm channeling, what I'm doing. Got a website and got lots of stuff going on in the background. And also I come out with zodiac updates every 2 weeks for the new moon, for the full moon. That's what you guys voted on. That's what you're getting. You also have collective readings coming out in between. So that being said, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.